Are you looking for quality, handcrafted, one-of-a-kind, unique items? Look no farther than Off the Square Artisans. We have over 40 artists ranging from woodworking to blacksmithing, photography, rug weaving, handmade soaps, and everything in between. If you're looking for home decor or a gift for that hard-to-shop-for friend or family member, come on in to Off the Square Artisans, located at 205 East High Street, 1 block east off the south side of the Rockville Square. Wednesday to Saturday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., and Sundays, 1 to 5 p.m.
All right, well, we'll call the meeting to order. Sheriff, you want to go first?
Sure.
I guess I'm going away or whatever. Sorry.
Inmate billing year to date is $117,828, and reported collections year to date $44,227.92. That's all I have.
Any questions for the sheriff? I haven't heard anything more on the siding, I don't suppose, on the jail siding or something. Since we've talked about it.
We were talking, Justin and I were talking about it yesterday. What the manager guy, I don't know.
Steckley or?
Yeah, I haven't seen him since
for a long time. Well, I mentioned it to Meese a couple of times, and I think they're kind of working on it, and I'll try to we're going to keep reminding them. Summer's going to come and go on. And
yeah, that's going to be a long project, or decent project.
Yeah, so, okay.
Thanks.
Yeah, well, we'll just keep working on this. Katie?
Reassessment's still going on. We're still in Jackson right now. Should be wrapping that up soon. We have gone to NCAMA, which is Xsoft. Thank you to everyone who had a hand in getting us that software. My life is so much easier, and we're gonna have better assessments. We're gonna have better information. So thank you. Appeal season is on us. The last date to appeal is a week from today. I need to knock on some wood somewhere, because right now I only have 12 appeals. By this time last year I had 70. So we'll see what happens in the next few days. Other than that, all is well.
Okay, thank you. I guess that's the public comment. Okay. All right, we'll move on. So, Marianne, I guess we have the West Central is asking for their contribution again.
Yeah.
It's in here.
I just need to sign it.
Well, we normally deal with that at budget time, so I'd rather wait till budget. So let's just keep it, and we'll deal with it at budget. You know, just remember, we just need to remember to do it. I know they probably say they won't.
Well, they want it back by October 13th.
Well, we'll have it done. We'll have it done by then. The budget's in August, so it's really part of the budget.
And this next one's probably budget too.
So I was kind of trying to read through that. It's from cars. So
Yeah.
have we not been paying?
No, we paid $5,000
each year
since 2009. That's what we paid.
And
they're asking for 15.
Okay.
Yeah,
And that's for budget. And this is another budget.
Yeah, this is one of those two items that are in the budget that increase your max levy. And the Hamilton Center, which is the developmental. There's two terms for this, but Hamilton Center fits one of them, Cars fits the other one, and we have always, in whatever you contribute to them, will raise your max levy by that much. It doesn't necessarily come out of your levy. It's just part of state statute. So as long as I've been doing the budget, we paid them $5,000.
Right. Well, I'm not I have an issue with it. I'm just trying to just understand what's going on. So I do think the Hamilton Center is required.
This is too.
And this is too?
Yeah,
okay.
This is too. Yeah, they're both required.
Okay. Well, again,
I could say more, but I'm not.
Okay, that's fine. It's really, we'll deal with it. Just remind us, we'll deal with it budget.
Yeah, it's part of the budget.
It's part of the budget.
They send these letters every year.
All right, so we'll deal with that. You have notice, I guess, from Southwest Park School Corporation that there's a legal notice that they are considering to do a school project, construction project.
I sent it to Nick and he said to show it to the commissioners and the council.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know that there's anything other than that we've
That
notified.
issue they're gonna do.
I mean, that's up to them. Okay, so that's all done. Okay, so we're ready for the minutes for the May 11th meeting.
Motion to approve the minutes from May 11th, 2022.
Motion been made and seconded to approve the minutes. All in favor? Okay, next one will be additional appropriations.
Madam Auditor?
We want to go through
The only one of these I know anything really about is the last one, so.
We'll let you go over them and
It's fine. You don't have to be in order.
The $5,000 one,
Yeah, that's misdemeanor.
the sheriff's department requested it to transfer, to pay a battery backup that was responsible for operating the entire jail security system in the event that the power would go out.
Anything you want to add to that or anything at all?
No, it's just must needed. It was as old as the building.
I can speak to that one because that's the Lucas devices.
Yeah.
The ARP one, the bottom one, $194,513.94 is for 9 Lucas devices. Those are automatic chest compression systems. They will. This was approved by the ARP committee. I assume the commissioners have blessed this now too, right?
Mm-hmm. They've already signed a contract that is going to go to each fire department.
Right. These will then be distributed to the 9 fire departments, who are in many cases, if not most cases, are the first ones to respond to a medical issue in the county. These will provide better CPR service to those who need it and more complete service. And then, frankly, if you listen to them talk about it, I'm not a CPR guy, but they, it removes the tired. The person giving the CPR doesn't get tired when you have a machine doing it. Yeah, so these are really good, a really good investment in public safety.
Okay, the next one is the statewide 911. They're asking for an additional $420, which will make a total of $3,840 for equipment maintenance to support the reprogramming of the 911 call equipment.
Chris talked about that last
talked
month.
about that, I think, last month.
The next one is the opium restricted. The sheriff's department did that for a drug take back day.
That's where you collected the prescription drugs, wasn't it?
I think that's for the liners.
For the liners.
The box, yeah. We set
Because
up
they're very
liners up.
expensive for some. Why are they so expensive?
I'm guessing a lot of that goes to the shipping because it's free shipping.
Oh, so
We box it up, seal it up. UPS comes and gets it. They ship it off and incinerate it. So a little more than just a liner, but
yeah,
it's more expensive than what I anticipated.
right.
But that's a year's supply, or 12. Should be longer than a year.
And it is well used. Isn't it? If you get quite a bit of.
You wouldn't believe it how much it's used. I'd say at least once a month.
Well, it's better than flushing it down the toilet or it go falling into the wrong hands.
That's roughly, I'm going to guess, around 50 pounds a month.
Prescription drugs that are.
Because the box has to weigh less than 50 pounds, or right
Yeah.
at 50 pounds, or we have to pay. So, yeah, prescription drugs.
What do they do about the fact that UPS is in possession of stuff they can't be in possession of while it's in transit?
That's a good question, but it's sealed up, and I never really thought about it that way. But it's sealed up, and you can't tamper it with it. You peel the tape off and seal it with glue.
They are gonna know if
I
it's
guess it'd be no
fake.
different than shipping evidence to the lab like we do.
Right.
But yeah, you can't tamper with it, or it's usually
Somebody's gonna know.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
The Cornerstone surveyor, we need to do an extra $200 so we can pay the invoice, so we're short.
And for Deckard for finding or marking stone or corners in the county. Right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
And the top one, the probation officer was asking for this, was a grant awarded to the department for the county alcohol monitoring program, the SCRAM. Its unspent balance was brought to our attention, and the remaining balance will be used to purchase additional equipment.
Okay.
And then the last one.
And then the
which is
last one.
Good one. I say that for last.
Thank you.
The health department is requesting $12,602. It's for the grant that pays the levy.
It's the emergency preparedness grant. Can I see that? Okay, so
Some was paid because the payroll person, a payroll voucher was turned in and she didn't know that we weren't supposed to pay her.
okay. Obviously, there's a history with this one, and this fund was not appropriated. These amounts, the administrator amount is not on the salary ordinance, and it was, we adopted a resolution last September that said that we would not, you can't spend grant money without it being appropriated. Some of that has happened. This is for more than that.
This is to finish out,
This is
To
through
the
the
end.
first 6 months, basically, right?
and when the grant ends, it's,
Okay. I ran this past the president of the health board. Her advice at this point was that this should not be approved. It is not a legitimate claim by the direction of the health board or a legitimate request. So,
Didn't the health board have a discussion with this person?
yes, and they will meet again.
And they did it anyway.
And it's happened anyway. So, that being said, I will honor the request of the president of the health board from my seat to give some time to figure out what happened here.
Well, they can always re-advertise it.
It can always be redone. It can always be done again.
If we need to, so.
Put out again, but at this point, it's,
payroll person has 2 more vouchers that Liddy has turned in to be paid, and I told her not to pay them.
there is no money appropriated to pay any of that at this point. So,
So that's what you have before you. If you have any, is there any questions on the additionals?
Move for this or approve all the additionals except the emergency preparedness.
I'll second. Motion been made and seconded. We'll approve all of them except the emergency preparedness. All in favor?
Aye.
now should we make,
Excuse me.
sorry, should we, that
You
one's
wanna
now
turn
staying
that
in
one
limbo.
down? Now you want to turn it down?
So I will
turn
make the
one
motion
down.
that we deny.
Because we really need to act on it. I mean,
We deny the local emergency preparedness requests. We deny, that's my motion, to deny those 3 additionals there.
I'll second that one.
okay, motion been made and seconded to deny that till the health board can weigh in on it. All in favor?
Aye.
I have just a question on, it seems like we have a lot of additional appropriations, and I'm not familiar with why you do that as opposed to those things not in the budget, other than maybe some grant money kinds of things that come along. Is that is it traditional that you have additional appropriations every meeting for, in some cases, it seems like things that should have been in the budget? Is that the case or not the
Well,
case?
it's,
I think we probably have a few more now than we used to. Now, there was a time where we had a whole fleet of them early because we didn't budget those funds. We've
Grant-
since
most
put
of them
those-
are grant
most of them are
funds.
grant-funded things that we've included. Of course, these ARP ones are all that way because we don't appropriate any of that until then. Yeah, I don't know that you're wrong, that there seems to be several. Now, it kind of comes and goes in waves.
A lot of that budget is guesswork.
And of course, it's guesswork, and we
And
don't
it costs more than we
put a
thought it
fluff
should.
in it.
yeah, we don't fluff them, and I guess one other thing you would say is that we're never sure what a department might want to spend on that, and so then this does force them to come and say what it's for.
I don't think sometimes they know.
And sometimes they don't
At that
know
time.
either. I mean, like for instance, the one we just had with the monitoring system. Well, that's really cleaning up a balance that was just up sitting there. Apparently, I don't know what happened with. I mean, I guess we could be really difficult and tell the surveyor, well, you have what's budgeted and that's all. But there's just seems like we run into things like that. One of the rules, the golden rules that I've always pushed for, and it's been pretty much standard here, is that we don't do additionals out of the general fund. We have so many other funds, grant funds, and all these auxiliary funds that we do them out of those, but my golden rule is what I was taught when I first came on the council was no additionals out of general fund because it'll get you into trouble. So that's one of the ways that we live by. But I don't disagree with you either. It does seem like here recently we've had more than we should.
Yeah.
Some of them have been still cleaning up.
And that's true. This year,
Cleaning
there's been a
up
lot.
from what went on in the last 4 years.
No, you're not wrong.
No.
I mean, I was thinking from a school corporation standpoint,
What you got?
That was the last thing you wanted to do was have to ask for additional appropriation.
I've never had one, so.
Well, you did a better job budgeting than we did. Maybe you'll help us. Okay, let's move on. So, do we have our rate for reappropriations? Mary Ann?
They overpaid, the check was given back to us, and now they just want to put it back into the right account because it went into a revenue account.
Okay. So that needs to be reappropriated. Is that the only one?
Yep, that's it.
Motion to approve the reappropriation is presented.
I'll second it.
Motion been made and seconded to do the reappropriation. All in favor? Pay the jury.
I make a motion, we pay the jury.
$101.96.
Okay. All in favor? Okay, you have your cash flow statement is in your packet for your information. That was all of those. Redevelopment.
I wasn't there.
I know, I
You
guess
took
now
care-
I gotta
you
think
appointed
about
it.
what it was we talked about. We held the public hearing that we're required to for the taxing units, regarding any additional, or excess, I should say, assessed valuation. We had no one appear to make any comments, so the public hearing was closed. We got an update on the Rockville 41 sewer project out to Scott's. I believe that the completion date was scheduled for this August, I think. But man, I can't, it's around that time. Other than that, we reviewed some new legislation that's coming down requiring the Redevelopment Commission to submit some sort of spending plan to the state of Indiana. Other than that, that was about it. Courthouse security did not meet. Plan information.
We had one request for a special air variance, I guess, on the zoning storage general store on the town. I guess she's getting married to Gallagher's, and her and her husband are gonna take it over on where Walnut Creek Sawmill was, they're on 100 North.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah?
Walnut Creek's moving, they've moved down to south off of Airport Road, and Swarty's General Store's going to move over there, so that was all approved.
Yeah.
So you'll have Swarty's in your neck of the woods now instead of mine.
Huh, okay.
The
North.
Huh?
You're talking about South Marshall and
It's North Rockville, it's still
North that,
Marshall.
north
You don't get much up
it's out there
there.
across from where Jay dealt with.
The church camp out at Rocky Fork, the state, they had to submit soil samples for septic, and the state's like 3 months behind. So they've tabled that till, I don't think it's gonna fly anyway, but anyway, they're getting there. State's holding the process up.
Okay.
Imagine that.
Solid waste?
Yeah, we did meet in May, and 2 or 3 things. First of all, they're having an electronic recycle day coming up June 17th at the fairgrounds from 8 to 12. So if you got any electronic devices you want to get rid of, you can take them out there and get rid of them. Kind of a future disposal project on August 24th. They have the pesticide disposal for, like, if farmers have any kind of pesticides of any sort. But the closest one's Hendricks County Fairgrounds. And there's a form you have to fill out ahead of time, and I can get a copy of the form and give to Mary Ann or somebody if you want to do that. So it's a good way to get rid of all the pesticides you have in partly open containers.
Then we're not sure what it is.
Yeah. So you don't spray it on your grass. And then of course the only other thing we talked about was that increase, but we'll deal with that later. I guess.
Yeah, we'll deal with that in budget. And one of the things we'll want to know from them, and we always kind of have this conversation, is kind of where they are as far as what their balance, cash balance is,
Yeah.
because we have been insisting that they draw that down.
And they still are.
And they are drawing it
And
down.
it's, if you don't go to these gradual increases in actually 2027, I mean, they'll be broken. Then you
Well, we
have
don't want that.
substantial
Yeah,
increase.
well, we don't want that, but at the same time, I in particular, and I think most of the other council members, we don't like to see that, a huge balance sitting there when we're
Yeah.
contributing money.
It's definitely going down,
It's
so. yeah.
coming down, okay. Well, I know it's well used out here, that is,
And the Talks Away Day.
the Talks Away Day is a popular thing. I mean, it's better than that stuff being in the ditch.
Yeah. And there's an increase in the cost for the drop-off.
Of course.
Oh, of course.
So it's costing us about $40,000 annually now, and just for unless there's extra draws, and then it costs additional for any extra poles that they have.
Well, they're what, 2 or 3 times a week to pick up or change those?
And it's more than that.
Maybe
It's,
it's
Cardboard's at least 3 times a week.
Yeah, they pick up something out there
Monday,
every
Wednesday,
day.
Friday or something.
Yeah.
Every day during the week. The only days they don't pick up.
And the total contribution request is basically $40,000.
Yeah,
You're basically paying for the roll-offs and the rest of it's coming out of the reserve. Because that Talks Away Day and
And that's
recycling
expensive,
day,
but
that's all
that
expensive.
stuff costs.
They gotta pay to get rid of that stuff.
But you got rid of, I always try to get rid of tires on that thing.
Light bulbs, things like that. Fluorescent light bulbs, it's a good place to go.
Okay, thank you, Tom, very good. We have an encumbrance that I guess was missed.
Yeah. The invoice is November the 21st, and it didn't get paid, so.
That's on my sales disclosure fund. It was for computers for myself and Gayla. And I had submitted it, and probably in all the hubbub of the previous administration, it got missed. And it was brought to my attention by Pam when she was running some reports.
Okay, that's all right. I
Yeah.
guess we can still
Yeah, we can still.
do it. It's getting a little late, but that's okay.
Yeah, I would hope.
Leave
this
it
is
to
the-
Potter.
Yeah, well, that's all right. Hey, hey.
No, actually, this will be the end of it. There's no, I would do not
Yeah,
accept
we-
any more
this-
after this,
yeah,
because this
no.
goes into the budget now, so.
So we'll do this one, and then after that, well, if somebody comes up with one, well, you just tell them no, if we want to consider it. So,
Okay, motion to approve the encumbrance.
Second.
motion been made and seconded to approve the encumbrance, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so you're gonna start talking about your resolution?
Yeah, this first resolution, we got some other things here too,
Oh,
of course, but this is for the public defender, and maybe I should have read the local a little bit closer, but what we have always historically done here, and maybe it wasn't right, but it's how we've done it since I've been around, is that we would pay public defender expenses out of two sources. There is a department in the general fund, which is the lion's share of it, and then there is a supplemental public defender service fee fund that we would pay. Whatever came into it, more or less, we would pay it out, and that's a statutory fund. I don't remember where the revenue comes from, but suffice it to say, in this year's budget, there was $5,750 appropriated through the budget process in that fund. When the bill came from Vermilion County in the 3-county district, Pam asked me how that was to be done. I advised her that we had appropriated the two amounts, and it would be a service contract line. At the end of May, the chief public defender notified the auditor and the treasurer that that is not an appropriate way to pay it. Some statutory citations here and comments to the fact that the interlocal said that the counties would maintain control of their supplemental public defender fund. So that would not be rolled into the district. So therefore, that amount that was paid there needs to come from the general fund to make this whole and meet the requirements. So this resolution is a reduction from group insurance of $5,750 to be reappropriated to the public defender service contracts line, and then the auditor and her staff will do whatever they need to do in the background to make this all whole, whether you reseat it to public defender or supplemental public defender, get a check back. You guys figure that out however you want to. The money will be appropriated through this process. So, that all being said, are there any questions? This is first year for this. It's new. We'll do it right in the budget this time and not have to mess with this. But questions, comments, concerns about why?
And there's adequate money in the group insurance. That's really, if there's any fluff, that would be where it's at. So should be fine as far as that. So
the more we're doing, I assume it's all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Move for adoption.
I'll second.
Motion been made and seconded to approve the reduction of appropriations. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Okay. That's that one. So now I have before you, and this is separate papers that when you got here, is the process for the Innkeeper's increase. So the background here, the legislature passed the ability for Parke County to increase the local innkeeper's tax rate from 5% to 8%. The senator who pushed this bill, Senator Deary, had intended for this to be earmarked for public safety. That was left out by just mistake, more or less. Last meeting, Commissioner Meese come in and asked us to consider this increase. I made it very clear from my perspective and that I would not support it if it the lion's share of it did not go to public safety. We tabled any request at that point. Since had conversations with Commissioner Meese, and and him then with the CBC about the following concept. This bill will allow the increase to take effect on July 1st, going from 5 to 8%. So that increase would lead to a 37.5% increase. In my discussions with Commissioner Meese, I suggested that 75% of the increase would go to public safety. The 25% of that increase would remain with the CBC. So if you take 75% of the 37.5%, you end up with 28.8%. Commissioner Meese come back during the meeting with the CBC and asked if we would accept 25% of the total revenue, because now what you're going to run into here is you're not going to have separate buckets for the new number and the new money and the old money. It's all going to be one distribution. So somebody gets a hotel room at the inn, July 2nd, they're going to pay 8% in Innkeepers, and there's no way to distinguish whether it was the increase or not the increase. It's all in there, right? So for the simplistic method here of accounting and everybody being able to be clear on how much is whose, I agreed to 25% of the total. So with that being said, this memorandum of understanding that you have was created. The memorandum of understanding lays out that the CBC will the CBC shall distribute at the end of the year 25% of the total revenue collected from the innkeeper's tax after the increase. So I added the after the increase because we did not agree and would not expect that they are going to deliver 25% of the revenue up through June 30th. Okay, not until the increase comes into effect. From there forward, it's 25% of the total. That money will go into a non-reverting fund, which we will have to work on getting set up and creating and adopting an ordinance to deal with that. That will then house that money, and that the council then will have control of and will distribute per whatever determination we determine how that, or whatever method we determine shall be appropriate. This agreement is effective on the latest date of the required signatures, and will be in effect so long as the CBC collects the increased tax rate and an addition into that from the initial document, or there's a change in the state statute regarding the increased innkeeper's tax. If the legislature comes back and says the 3% is dedicated to public safety, then that will change the game, right? So with that being said, this is appropriate for what exists at this point. Are there any questions about that before I go any further?
I guess the only question is, you talk about percentages, but how much in dollars are we talking about?
Okay, that's a fair enough question. Historically, the CBC, the innkeeper's tax would bring in, give or take each side, of $165,000 a year at 5%.
So
you're talking about another roughly 100.
So the total amount that is spent on innkeepers, costs and all that stuff is around what, $3.5 million to the county? I mean, is that the benefit to the county? Something like that?
Well, if you 165. It'll be 3.3 million roughly, yes. Okay. Yeah. And the 3% would yield about 100, it's all things equal, about another $100,000 going in, of which, so at 265,000 would be the new number, right? Mm-hmm. Times 0.25 would be roughly $66,250 to go into that non-reverting fund.
Okay. That's kind of what I was thinking, something like that, so.
Yeah.
And just as a reminder, these are people that are staying in hotels and that sort of thing.
Correct.
are paying this. It's, you know, anybody that stays here.
Is it just innkeepers, or is there beverage part of that? No, so it's just innkeepers?
Just
Okay.
innkeepers.
Okay.
I think camping, I think maybe even has contributed to this, the cabins, things like that.
Rockville Lake contributed.
Rockville, like, all the camping, anybody, is it,
It's like the cabins.
the cabins?
The cabins,
None of
not
the campsites.
camping itself.
Not camping, okay.
So people coming into our county are spending about $3.5 million on housing, basically, for their time here.
Total, yeah, they're total, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
a lot of it be at the state.
Well,
Turkey
of course,
Run.
Turkey Run Inn.
Turkey Run Inn is be the biggest, I suppose, but there are a lot of other, of course, there's more and more of these B&Bs and all that. Because they all would have to pay that in, is that
There's
correct?
cabins at the park, there's cabins at the Narrows, there's cabins,
And-
you know,
and the-
here, there,
The
yonder.
motels in town?
Motels.
Hotels in
Yeah.
town,
Airbnbs.
Airbnbs, bed and breakfasts, all of them are subject to.
I mean, this was a compromise. I mean, Meese was hoping that they were gonna collect all of that, and that obviously wasn't. And that was never the intent of Senator Deary. I mean, he had come up with this idea, and I'll have to give him a lot of credit, because we complained to him, and I've complained to other legislators about all the resources it takes out of these state parks and that sort of thing for our public safety people, whether it's, you know, especially the ambulance and the fire and sheriff and all these people. And we really don't, the county itself doesn't really have any way to recoup any of these funds. And this is a way to have people that are coming here to stay help pay. Which I don't
You're never
think
going to
is
get the
unreasonable.
DNR to contribute in on their own. I mean, there has been attempts made locally by the
Yeah, that won't
DNR
happen.
to, you know, the manager at Turkey Run, Chris Newcomb Sr., has a number of times put in budget requests to the state, you know, some money for local emergency responders. And of course, it completely gets denied every time. I don't know if Mike Klingerman's done that at Raccoon Lake or not, but, you know, this was a way that the senator come up with to recoup some of that that's not on the backs of our local taxpayers. But as John said, even we were all here last month, it wasn't all going to the CBC. You know, that was never the intent. They didn't raise that just to have, they didn't raise that just to have more bridge money. They didn't. That would have never, ever gone through the legislature just for that. It wouldn't.
But we have a compromise. I think that Meese is happy with this, and so
Yeah.
this is what we came up with, and trying to appease everyone.
Are there any other questions about the MOU or the process that I can try to explain before we decide whether or not to adopt it?
Well, maybe we ought to talk about the ordinance if we're going to do one or the other. Yeah, is there any questions on that? And then let's talk
Then we can
about
talk
the
about the
ordinance.
ordinance. All right, that's fine before we do
So
it.
if we're not going to adopt one, we won't adopt the other.
That's correct. Okay, so the ordinance is pretty straightforward. Mary Ann pulled out the old ordinances when they established this in the 90s to start with. Those were sent to Clutter. These are both products of the attorney. I didn't write these. And this one's completely unchanged. It is in order. Therefore, I'll read the meat of it. Therefore, it is ordained and enacted by the Parke County Council that, number one, the council hereby finds that pursuant to the act that there is a need to increase the innkeeper's tax to a rate of 8% for the promotion and development of convention, visitor, and tourism industry in Parke County. Number two, the tax shall be paid monthly to the county treasurer, not more than 20 days after the end of the month the tax is collected. That would be the facilities, the hotels and so on are due to pay it 20 days to the treasurer. Okay, that's not the CBC paying somebody. That's the money comes to the treasurer from those who collected it. Parke County auditor shall record all votes taken on this ordinance, immediately send a copy of the results to the Indiana Department of Revenue, and this ordinance is effective upon adoption and execution. It's therefore ordained that all prior code sections and ordinances conflict with the subject matter herein shall be repealed effective the date passage of this ordinance. Should any court determine any portion of the section of the ordinance illegal or unconstitutional, that portion or section shall be removed and the remaining ordinance shall remain in full force and effect. So one of the questions that I had was, does this have to percolate for 30 days? Many times ordinances don't take effect immediately. It is directly written into this that this takes effect immediately. The law does not allow the change to happen until the 1st of July, but you can adopt it ahead of time, and that is in here, that the rate in the whereas will be increased from 5 to 8% effective after June 30th. So,
How will the various places know about it?
that's a good question. I suppose the treasurer probably ought to be sending this thing out too.
I've already warned them, and they will send out their forms that they need to fill out with a different percentage rate and all that kind of stuff.
I would actually ask her as well to include a copy of the ordinance.
Are they still having trouble with that one that's worth collecting, you know?
Hobson?
Yeah. that would
We
be the one.
didn't get anything from them.
They
When I
never-
was still in the treasurer's office, he never paid.
I thought that got straightened out at some point.
Well, at one
before.
point, but then
Did he quit
we
again?
got some money, and
He
then
quit.
after that, he quit paying again. If we want our money, we have to take him to court.
Well,
So he's collecting some money on paying.
I can't remember.
I'd say it's time to go to court then.
He owes it, he owes it, he owes it.
Yeah.
I heard he sold those.
No, he did not. He split off some land to L&L Poplar Farms, but no, he still owns the cabins.
Well, it would seem to me that it'd be appropriate that at some point he'd be served.
Well, the CBC gonna have to, it'd be the CBC that actually has to sue, won't they? Or
Well, he's in
will
violation of county ordinance. It doesn't require the CBC to do anything.
the county?
Now, Rick has a question, is he collecting the money?
He's collecting the money and just
Well,
not
that's a
paying
good
it.
question. Is he collecting the money and keeping it? I don't know.
That's on it, isn't it?
Well, let's
not get that
Yeah,
far
let's
into it.
not, remember, this is a public meeting, so let's not.
But
We just probably need to look into that, is what we need to do. Let's look into it and see if that is the case, why then the county needs to pursue an action. So,
This would be ordinance number 2023-03.
so is there any other questions about the ordinances or the memorandum of understanding? As Roy said, Mr. Clutter did write these, and Roy's gone back and forth with him to make sure we feel like that they are. And Misa's looked at them as well, and
Yep.
he has blessed them that he is fine with all of it.
That he will sign it for the CBC.
That he will sign, and that he is in agreement.
And the CBC has given him permission to sign for them. So, there you have it, and we have a motion to adopt same day, same meeting. We'll have
So that'll need to be, yeah, we'll need to
We
do
got
that.
3 things to do here.
Move we accept ordinance number 2023-03, increasing innkeeper's tax.
Second.
Okay, motion been made and seconded to adopt the ordinance. All in favor? Opposed? Okay, now we need to do the same day, same meeting, because it is an ordinance. So that'd be.
No, it's not a new ordinance.
It stays
It's
the
the
same.
motion to adopt the ordinance on the same day.
2023-03.
Good.
So, make a motion, we adopt the motion.
Same day, same meeting.
Yeah. Table straighten it out.
Second.
All in favor?
Uh,
Okay, now we're down to the memorandum of understanding.
That's all right. We're going to use these right here for
Okay.
you. I'll make a motion to adopt the memorandum of understanding between the county council and the Parke County Convention and Visitors Commission as provided.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to adopt the memorandum of understanding. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Don't run off while we just
Yeah,
got a lot
we
of
got a
sign.
lot of signs, so don't. there anything, have anything else?
Budget forms are coming in, we're working on that a little bit. And, I don't know, half, 2/3, close to 2/3 are in, so. Working through that.
On settlement, I'm waiting for the treasurer's office to give us the certification numbers.
Good deal. How's it going? Halfway decent or?
They couldn't get cash book to balance with Exsoft, and Exsoft is working with them to see.
Try to get that figured
We're
out.
supposed to be there tomorrow.
Okay. Okay. Anything else?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, council members stay around to sign.